Of all the Goblinoids in the world of Dungeons & Dragons, the Hobgoblins are by far the most dangerous. So let's talk about those. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Richard Quiner, and it's Monster Monday, and we've been talking about Goblinoids, so that's what we're doing again. Today we're talking about the Hobgoblins. The Hobgoblins are the cousins of the bugbears and the goblins that are better than the others. As far as physical appearance goes, Hobgoblins are about the size of humans, but they do have an orange or red kind of skin that sets them apart. They also have very feline features in the face. Just by the art, that's what I've seen, some kind of feline, monstrous goblinoid features, and oftentimes they have very large noses that can range from colors from red down to blue. So you have a lot of variety in the Hobgoblins, but what you don't have a variety in is their lifestyle and their training. In the Hobgoblin culture, they want to prove their might pretty much all the time. They're always ready to fight and prove their martial prowess, which has been bred into them from birth as soldiers. That's right, unlike their goblin and bugbear cousins, the Hobgoblins are trained in weaponry and armor and battle tactics and siege engines and everything that makes them a perfect soldier. In addition to that, they are very well disciplined and organized in their society. They are not a ragtag bunch of monsters. These are an organized group, and thing about it now, they remind me a lot of the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings. The entire society of Hobgoblins is much more organized and much more militaristic in structure, meaning there are ranks for every member of a goblin's grouping, all the way from the warlord down to the lowest peon kind of private type of hobgoblins. They even give ranks to the goblins and bugbears that join forces with them in their armies and their wars. Hobgoblins are formed into larger groups called legions. Each legion is basically, it's an army, but they call them legions. Legion is a little more scary term than an army. And here's the thing about legions, they will work well together within the legion, but trying to work with another legion isn't going to work out so well. Between legions, there's often fighting, of course disagreement, but it often does come down to battle, and if there is ever a Hobgoblin leader that can unite several legions under the one banner, that will be a force to be reckoned with. The kind of divisive nature of Hobgoblins and the fact that they all want to be the strongest and they all want to fight and be the best keeps them divided, which I think is a good thing for the more civilized races of the Dungeons & Dragons world, because Hobgoblins can be scary in masses. A little side note about Hobgoblins, and I've said that word so many times, and it's actually a tough word to say. They see non-Hobgoblins as unreliable and lesser than them. They have a superiority complex because of their society and how they're raised, which affects the other Goblinoids, as well as humans and other creatures and races that might join with Hobgoblins in their endeavors. Each legion of Hobgoblins works for a warlord, who is a very special, unique individual in the Hobgoblin army. They have taken their time, they've served their time in the actual military, and now they find themselves more interested in tactics and strategy and staying back and letting the troops do the fighting for them, so they become the warlords. Like I mentioned, they will often lead the Hobgoblin soldiers and armies from the back, creating strategy and tactics from a vantage point that they can actually know what's going on and see kind of the bigger picture. They will also plan their attacks meticulously. Taking days or even months to plan out an attack on a stronghold or a city is not unusual for a Hobgoblin warlord, so if you find your stronghold surrounded by Hobgoblins, you're already in trouble because they've already taken the time and they know everything about you. These warlords will also take the time to build their own strongholds in places with high resources. If they need weapons and armor, they will find places with high metal content in the ground, or in forests, or just high resource areas. They will make their own strongholds and defend it very well. One thing they have similar to their goblin cousins is they do make animal companions very well. They have the usual horses and oxen to do the work around the area, but they also use wargs, which are kind of a goblin horse dog, I think might be the best way to describe it. They're a big dog thing that they just ride, and it's like a horse. And these wargs are also pretty intelligent. We'll do a whole other video on wargs one of these days, because they're actually kind of cool when you read up on them. But Hobgoblins use them as mounts, as well as sometimes they get carnivorous apes to fight alongside them in their battle. Now, I've never encountered a carnivorous ape. I've never encountered any ape. But I've seen the videos. I just watched Rampage the other day with The Rock and the big ape. so that could be pretty scary. When it comes to religious beliefs, hobgoblins and goblins share the same deity, Maglubiet, except their attitude towards serving in his army is very different. The hobgoblins are not afraid, they will go to battle, they will die, and they will serve their god on the battlefield in his legion after death. While the goblins, as I mentioned before, are kind of scared and they don't want to do that. Hobgoblins, like I've said so many times, they're the disciplined ones. They're scary. Reading up on them and doing my research on hobgoblins this week has been interesting, and I'm really excited to build them into my own campaigns. What would you do with a hobgoblin legion in your game world? Let me know in the comments below. I hope this video has helped explain a little more about the life and times of the hobgoblins and their legions. If it has, leave a like button. Hit the subscribe button on the channel. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button on the page. I do appreciate it. And as always, I'm Richard Quiner. Thank you for watching.